Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I believe I do have a handful of new subscribers because some of you are either from my TikTok, or some of you joined in when I started uploading these shorts onto this channel. So if you are new here, then thank you so much for being here. My name is Adam, and my pronouns are he, they. And this video has been in the works for quite a while now, but I've had multiple hurdles whilst trying to film both the speed paint and the voiceover. While I was in the middle of actually drawing the artwork, I think I spent too long on the computer and I ended up somehow injuring my neck to the point where I could not turn side to side. And then after I finally healed from my neck injury and I was able to, finish the drawing portion of the speed paint, when I wanted to record the voiceover, I got some form of bronchitis or flu or what have you that I'm still getting over. So I probably still sound at least a little bit sick as I record this. I'm probably going to edit out my frantic coughing, but you might be able to hear a little bit of nastiness in my throat. But I made a promise to myself that I would get this video out by early January. So I'm here. My voice probably sounds a little bit icky, but it is what it is. But with all of that out of the way, let's jump into talking about the actual artwork itself. Now, apparently, the last time that I made a new profile picture for myself was 2020. I think it was like the very beginning of 2020. And at the time this video comes out, we are either in or about to enter 2023. So as you can imagine, I'm a little bit overdue for making a new profile picture. Now, I would say my art style hasn't changed a lot in the past 3 years, which I think is a pretty good thing. But there are some key differences between this new profile picture and the one from 3 years ago. The way I draw eyes has definitely changed a little. I'm not sure where I got this inspiration from, but I decided to make the way I do lashes nowadays a lot more big and thick and defined. The way I color as well is like slightly different. For this one, I decided to go with more of a black color for my hair. Because, for the sake of adding depth, I think I used to use different shades of brown. And if you want to get technical about it, like technically my hair is like very dark brown if it hits the light in a certain way, but like it's black. It's black. So I think when I was color picking, I shifted the hue to more of like the purpley range instead of like the reddish orangey range. I also added red streaks in my hair because I have, in fact, red streaks in my hair. I mean, at this point, they kind of look a little orangey because they're like fading back to like their bleached color. And I don't have enough Manic Panic hair dye in my house to recolor them red. So they're orange, but in this drawing, they are red. I also tried something very different with the eyebrows. This isn't something that's like new to my style that I've been doing, but I realized just for the sake of this particular drawing, I could not really see my eyebrows through my hair. And I think because it is a profile picture, it's going to be very small. So I really wanted to make sure that the details that were important were defined enough to see from afar. So instead of outlining the eyebrows like I usually do, I think I just filled them in with a straight up block of color. I'm not sure if this is something I'm going to be like keeping and using for my art style, but I mean, it looks kind of cool. It looks kind of neat. And finally, I think the biggest thing that has changed about my art style between now and 2020 is that my process is definitely more streamlined. If you've ever been to any of my art streams in the past, I think you would know there were many shortcuts that I refused to take because they just felt more familiar to me to do things the quote-unquote hard way. But nowadays, I use folders for everything instead of just throwing layer upon layer, like unlabeled. I'm also doing flat colors with the bucket tool, the tool that I thought I would never use in my life. Because in the past, what I would do is I would spend hours on stream just like coloring around the inside of my line art as if it was a coloring book, and then I would like fill everything in completely by hand. And I liked doing things that way, especially because I'm really, really picky about seeing those missing pixels when you would use something like a bucket tool. But thankfully, modern bucket tools in most digital art programs have a workaround so you don't get those icky missing pixels. And also, it's just quicker and easier, which I think segues nicely into our lovely topic for today, which I like to call Keep It Simple, Silly. Nowadays, when I try to do art, I try to do it as simply as I possibly can and take as many shortcuts as I can. And I say there are two big reasons as to why I chose to do this. Big reason number one is that taking as many shortcuts as you can saves you a lot of time. I want to make a webcomic. Making webcomics is my big, big dream, and webcomics also take a lot of time. Like, particularly, there's a reason why so many webcomic artists will spend literal years of their lives just making pages. And even though my current webcomic project, Little Things, is within itself a little thing, and hopefully will not take me years and years to finish, I think it would definitely make my life easier if I could find a more simpler way to do it. Big reason number two is a lot less happy than reason number one, but the second biggest reason why I want to kind of simplify my art process is because I have recently found out that the injury to my arms is most likely permanent. Now, if you've been following me for a while, then you know exactly what this is about. I've talked about it on YouTube, on TikTok, on Twitter, on all of the places. But yes, in short, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I gave myself a really bad repetitive strain injury a couple years ago in both of my arms, and it is now what I consider to be a dynamic disability. I have good days, I have bad days, and anything that I do with my arms can exacerbate the pain, including but not limited to drawing. Thankfully, I am fortunate enough, at least at this point in time, that I can still somewhat draw. I just have to be very careful and very mindful to not injure myself as badly as I did the first time. So for me, what this means is I can't make art as frequently or as quickly as completely able-bodied artists may be able to do. And it is, sad. It is something that I wish I didn't have to deal with, but it's the state of my body. And I have to, prioritize my own health before I prioritize making art. In recent years, artists are kind of pushed to create content rather than creating art for joy. And it doesn't really help that social media sites, especially lately, our main source of traction, are kind of doing everything possible to make artists' lives difficult. It feels like now more than ever there is this big push for artists to post every fucking day or post, really big beautiful pieces and just keep pumping them out like a machine. And unfortunately, even if I was completely able-bodied, I don't think that's something that I have the capacity to do. And I want to emphasize that there's nothing wrong at all with wanting, more traction for your art. There's nothing wrong with doing things to kind of please the social media gods and things like that. Of course, you're posting your art for attention, and there's nothing wrong with wanting attention. You want to share your creation with others, and I don't think that that's something that should be shamed. I love when people interact with my work. I love when people comment. I love when, people get invested in my characters or in my webcomic. It makes me really happy. But at the end of the day, if I'm not creating art for my own joy, then why am I creating it to begin with? Yeah, if I did what I did 2 years ago and would sit at my desk for 8 to 10 hours at a time just to pump out a finished product, then yeah, I'm probably gonna like how it looks in the end. But does it really matter if I was in pain the entire time? Does it really matter if I'm exhausted? And of course, there's nothing wrong with, wanting to work hard to achieve your dreams. But if the process, gives you more exhaustion and more pain than it's worth, then I think it might be a good decision to change your process, to make it easier. You might not be able to notice it the way that I notice it, but when I look at my art, I can definitely see that it is more loose instead of super pristine and clean like it used to be 2-3 years ago. And for me, this is a very intentional choice. And it's something that, I'm trying to learn to be happy with. And is there a possibility that maybe my followers wish that my art was a little more crisp, a little more clean like it used to be? Of course. Is there a very real possibility that if I don't, pump out content like some kind of machine, that the algorithm on every social media site imaginable is not going to show my work to anybody? Very true. Very, very true. But at the end of the day, if I'm pushing myself, pushing my body to the brink just to make other people happy, then I'm not honoring myself the way I should be. And I'm not as happy as I could be if I just went easier on myself. So I think I'm slowly but surely coming to peace with the fact that, yes, I may be slower than other artists. I may not be as crisp and clean as other artists. But if I'm preserving my own peace and my own happiness, it makes me look at my work differently. I can look at my drawings without a feeling of regret or exhaustion. And I can feel better knowing that I like not just the end product, but the process itself. And so to all of my art friends that are watching, I encourage you to please, please, please create for yourself. Yes, you can do things like make fan art just to bring in some more attraction. You can make webcomics and TikToks and all the things that the cool kids are doing. But just make sure that you are working smarter and not harder. Because I can imagine when you first started your art journey, you probably started it for fun. And I think there's something really beautiful about the fact that we can create something from nothing, that we can create a beautiful drawing from a blank canvas. And I hope that if you're feeling down about yourself, and if you wish that you worked better, faster, like other artists, that you maybe stop and slow down, that you maybe take a minute to yourself, do a little social media cleanse, and just really sit with yourself and be proud of the fact that you can do something not everyone can do. And I think that makes you pretty neat. Thank you so much for watching. Please take care of yourself, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!